Hey guys, this is Travis with Beyond Bipolar Blog along with my brother. Today, Kyle's been going through a situation in which he has been on disability for a while and he's at his last stage in which if he works, he will lose his disability. So let me get to the basics of it. Let's say you're someone that has been on disability for a while, which you can apply at SSA.gov. That's a website you would go to apply for disability. This is on the federal level. There is also a state level, but right now we're going to talk about the federal level. Let's say you got on disability, you're on that for a while, all of a sudden you get better. Maybe this takes years, I don't know. Depending on where you're at, you want to just start working again. Well, there's some things and regulations and rules you need to know before you actually begin work.
Let's talk actually how we actually got on disability first. You and I'll tell my story.
So basically, Kyle wants to talk about our early story in which we actually got on disability. Mine was back in 2009, in which I applied because I recently lost my job. I quit going to school, and I heard about disability through the SSA website. I'm not quite sure on how, but I had gone through various hospitalizations. My first hospitalization, I decided to apply for disability in 2009.
So for me, I guess it's kind of surprising because my name's Kyle, and I guess I'm kind of more known as the more functional twin because he has bipolar illness, which is a lot more invasive on his health. So it's always a worry about him remaining on disability, which we'll talk about. So how I got on disability is despite it me being able to work short stints. To be honest, I never held a job longer than 9 to 5 for a long time until I found the jobs that start later and they're more part-time gigs. So anyway, I guess I kind of had a breakdown when I was working at Wells Fargo in 2010. I was dating a Hmong girl at the time, and I felt this enormous pressure to take care of myself, take care of her, and in the end, I realized whether it was the job or whether I was having mental dysfunction. Basically, I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, and it kind of just tumbled over, and I wasn't on any meds at the time aside from antidepressant, which really doesn't help me sleep. So I basically kept on losing my sleep and me hating the job and the pressure, and I didn't really care much about home loans. I pretty much ran off with my dad's van, which is behind there, and I drove it all the way up to like 30 minutes away at a city called Woodbury, and I stayed there, and my parents and my girlfriend at the time were really worried because they thought I was in danger. And basically the cops came, and they're actually pretty nice. They actually treated me pretty well, surprisingly. They were pretty understanding. The guy was a white guy, and we ended up talking, and he brought me to the hospital. And someone kind of asked me, did I get hospitalized? And to be honest, probably I should have. I just pretty much told them I had a bad day and pretty much just left it at that. But I'm pretty sure it's probably a lot worse day. One, I didn't know if there other options existed. Obviously, second shift work or part-time work until much later. And girlfriend at the time, I was having more internal struggles and insecurity trying to hold a job. So I pretty much just copied my brother. We both actually had to get a lawyer because I think we were denied a few times. But I think we had to get a lawyer, and I've been on it for a while. And like my brother said, I've been holding a few jobs, seasonal jobs, one at a test scoring gig, and another one was actually a full-time gig, second shift, actually 8 hours. So, and because of that, I already used up 9 trial work periods, and I'm now in extended period, which now I'm going to lead off to my brother to explain a little bit about those curious getting on disability, the ins and outs of it, and whether you have questions or not. And he has a bunch of stats written down, so I'll give it up to him right now.
So guys, if you want to start working, what happens is that you have a 9-month period. They're called trial work periods. You have 9 of those non-consecutive within 5 years or so. After 5 years, it resets. But if you make more than $940 a month, which inflates every year, so this changes every month, you can check at mn.db101.org and just look up the Social Security Disability.
It's MAED. EPD. You said MN.
No. mn.db101.org is where you'd find the website, and you can look up the various, which I'm going to talk about the cost or the inflation of the income that you can earn. Right now in 2021, it's $940. So that means if you make less than $940 on a trial work period, if it's under $940, it wouldn't be considered a trial work period, which means you can earn up to $940 and then some. But if you go over $940 in a month in a trial work period, that means you are considered one trial work period. So if you have 9 of these, not consecutive, I stated, within 5 years, then you end on to another period called extended period of medical disability.
Chime on.
And the extended period of medical disability lasts 3 years after your 9-month trial work period, which is not consecutive, but as I stated.
So do those benefits include somebody working plus the benefits they're already receiving, or is that just through work only?
So basically, with extended period of medical disability, if you make more than $13.10 a month, which is due to inflation at 2021, that means you do not get paid your Social Security disability insurance amount. So let's say you're making maybe $900 on disability. Well, if you make more than $13.10 a month, then you don't get paid your SSDI. But if you make under $13.10, and then you still get paid your SSD amount, this lasts for 3 years. So that's pretty much it.
So with me and my story, we called, I believe, yesterday. And because I guess it's a little worry, because since I already used up my 9 trial work periods, and if I get a job, likely it'll be a full-time job, hopefully a second shift job, I actually will probably likely lose my benefits. And probably what's actually more, I guess, a little frightening is I might lose my health insurance. But for me, I feel like I've been a lot more stable compared to 10 years ago. And I know my brother's been worried about it. Like, what if I get in, it's not just mental health issues, but what if I get in a car crash and pretty much can't afford the health insurance? But I feel like that's just, to me, I feel like that's how it is. Most normal people have to function. So now, again, my brother wrote a few responses about this, and he pretty much, and someone actually said I can just always reapply. So I can always reapply, and I know it's harder for me to get back on, but I feel like now, after 34 years, I'm ready for the risk. On my brother's hand, why don't you explain why it's a little risky for you?
I've had 7 hospitalizations, 2 partials, and various therapy and psychiatry work that I need to get paid by the disability insurance to do Social Security. However, because of my vulnerability, I'm at a much more riskier area if I decided to get off disability. My medications are $1,200 a month and then some, and that could be really risky if I lose health insurance and just forced to work somewhere that would be able to pay for the insurance. Whether I like the job or not, I would likely have to stay in it despite the pressure.
So I feel like this is kind of a political, basically if you're in a state that's more in Democratic or Republican, I know some people kind of feel like a lot of people on disability are probably lazy and just use the system. That could be true, but I was talking to a friend of mine who is also having a lot of struggles. Her child is, and I was kind of surprised that what she said is she doesn't like talking about it because she feels like a lot of people will judge, and through that judgment, there's a lot of, it kind of gets people triggered about this kind of whether the government should fund people with mental health disorders or whether they are people that actually are just using the system. So Anyway, I feel like she is, even though if she feels shame, I feel like in the end, it's about what works best for you. And if it's available, I say take it. I know there's probably a political debate about giving people, especially poor people, health insurance. But to me, like I told my brother, I know we made a video about this, about our shame and guilt. But in the end, I'm trying to function to be a normal person. But at the same time, I feel like since my brother's a lot more trickier and more scarier of a case, I feel like he shouldn't even be guilty or feel ashamed. And like a lot of people like him, if you need it and if it's available, just take it. In my opinion, what's your opinion on the stigma and deep down we're talking about it, because even if it's embarrassing, I honestly don't give a shit.
Some people might be able to just get by on just disability alone, Social Security, and some people might use the system, but there are incentives to get people to start working again, to hopefully get them to make the decision to get off disability sometime in the future, or at least make gains to it. It also comes at a federal level, but also a state level, which I'll get to. Yep. This is for Minnesota, but I just want to talk about the clarifications to that. So with Social Security, you get the Medicare card, and that covers like maybe 80% of your medical costs that is owed from you, while MA, medical assistance, covers the last 20%. And MA can be different. It can be UCare, it can be Humana,
Medica,
or it could be Medica, which are 3 different various health insurances that you could apply to. Humana is more of the drug relationship, but Humana is what I use to cover my drugs. And likewise, there's I'm actually, since we might as well talk about this, I have a Spenddown. A Spenddown is where you make more than the appropriate income for Social Security, and then you're forced to, I wouldn't say forced, you're required to do a Spenddown, which is pay into the Social Security system if you make too much. Kyle is getting like $900, which he doesn't have to, but since I got some more income through my mother's Social Security insurance, that increased my amount from like $900 to $1,200, and then I was required to pay $319 into the state level to pay for health insurance. If I don't have that, if I don't pay that $319, I don't have health insurance. I have to pay out of pocket my $1,200 of medications, therapy, psychiatry, you name it, or hospitalization. Hospitalization can be very expensive. Like for a 2-week stay, my bill was $10,000. So this is the whole reason why I'm still on Social Security, because just in case, it kind of gives me that cushion in case if I need it. But I'm on this program called Special Needs Basic Care. Kyle he's not applied to that since he doesn't make more than is required to pay into the system, but I had to pay in, so I pay $319 a month. But if I ever start working, the incentive is if you make over $65.01, you're applicable to medical assistance for employed people with disabilities. That means if you make over $65.01, you don't have to pay your Spenddown, which is $319 a month. But that also affects things as well. Like for instance, if you make over $100, that's going to affect your food stamps if you're on it. So you kind of have to be careful and play your cards right, because Kyle's at a situation where he's been working for a while. He uses 9 trial work periods. He's actually at his cap of 3 years for the extended period of eligibility, and right now he's just sitting there. So the next time he makes more than next time he actually makes an income of anything, he's forced to get off disability and is required to get insurance through his job or through other type of insurance that he has to pay.
You know, the end, I wanted to mention though, through 2018, that's probably the most I ever worked. I worked at I first worked at DRC for 3 months, the bar probably for 3 months, and Best Buy for 3 months. So basically through that time, late 2018, I actually lost my disability, including the benefits. I did not lose my health insurance, but I lost the benefits. But I don't know why. I haven't been working till that time because of the COVID, and also I wanted to help him study for the A+ certification. So might as well just focus on that until the time being for this waiting period. But then for some reason, they end up putting me back on for after 6 months. I don't know why, but so let's just re-clarify and summarize things. So the trial work period cap limit is different than the extended period of eligibility. Is that correct?
Yes.
Maybe you can explain it. And just do a quick summary for people.
Trial work period, if you make more than 940, it's considered a trial work period. And then after 9 non-consecutive months making over 940, you end up in the extended period of medical disability. That's $1310 a month. Things vary. You can make at least up to $2,000 if you're blind. So this changes depending upon your disability. Blindness actually increases your income, which I didn't mention. And on a state level, if you earn more than what is required for the amount that you can get paid, you have to pay into the system, which means you're either on special needs basic care, which I might pay a $319 Spenddown, and if I ever were, I could get on medical assistance for employed people with disabilities. A lot of this is incentive to get back into work. $319 versus paying $319 versus earning, not having to pay that when you work over $65.01. There is some benefits, but that will affect your food stamps.
So another thing I wanted to address was, I know there's a lot of fear for people afraid of getting off disability. It's like I am. I'm going through that right now. But in the end, I think after 34 years, you kind of realize it's not worth it to be afraid. Better to try and fail than not try at all and have regret. So that's my state of mind at this moment. But because of this, I want to make sure the job I'm doing is one that I could actually stick with. Like I said, I really only held seasonal work probably like 3 months. Probably I worked like 6 months of the year. So I think with this, what I wrote is, another thing I wanted to mention, Travis, why do we get 2 different checks from the government? Can you describe that? Do you know why? I know one is SSI and the other is what? Do you know what that means?
So SSI is if you are disabled. People who are disabled and poor can get on SSI, and that could be varied. His ex was on SSI. I don't think she was actually on SSDI. Those are 2 different claims. One is state SSI is state, SSDI is federal.
Okay. So federal is the United States, the whole government, and the state is just the state that you live in. And I assume it depends on what state you live in, correct? And if that's why it's important, they need to
depends on how much money you paid into the system and how where your income level is at, and that depends on your payment. SSDI doesn't actually. SSDI, if you ever know that you get that amount and you're not sure why, it depends on how much you paid in taxes prior to getting ill, prior to being on disability. So the reason why I make more disability than him is because I put more work hours in. And the truth is, Kyle is in a better position, but I've actually worked longer months than him. He hasn't worked longer than 3 months at a job. I've worked 6 months. So, but things can vary, especially with full-time work, and I haven't actually tried that.
However, you have been trying to find work right now.
Well, I tried that. I haven't tried that being on disability. I have been on full-time work, seasonal work prior to my disability.
And right now you're trying to find seasonal work, it sounds like, or you're...
Right now I'm just trying to find some like easy work that I could get used to and just get some money in. But it's not kind of a give it. It's kind of a give and take. Sometimes I feel like working, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want to do this, sometimes I don't want to do this. So it's kind of a guessing game on where I really want to stand at.
Okay, so I guess we'll wrap it up. Again, there's a trial work period, which is a per month of the amount that you can go over, and that's $940. And the extended period of medical disability is at $1310, which is after the 9-month trial work period. So right now, hopefully we answered all your questions about how to get on disability, why we were on disability, and what it also entails. Is there anything else that we've missed?
No, not regarding this topic.
Okay. All right. So regarding this topic, that's all that we got today. So please like, comment, and hit subscribe, and hit the bell button for future updates. Thanks, guys.
Bye.